Technical difficulties, we are back. Okay, so we are going to get started. Lead conversion. Anybody have a good lead conversion story as we're getting going from the last week? Anyone? Bueller? Dirk, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
So, no lead conversion stories from last week? No problem. We're going to jump right in then. Today we will start with specific property leads. Now, specific property lead is going to be a couple different things. It could be a sign call. In other words, somebody's calling in on that specific property from the sign. It could be from the internet. It could be any source, but they're calling wanting information on that particular property. That's where we're going to get started. By the way, who's got listings in the right now that they're getting sign calls on? Tom, you get any sign calls lately?
Have I gotten any? No.
No sign calls lately. Okay, so we're going to
Yes,
be.
I did. I take that back. I got one on Tuesday, Wednesday when I sold.
So sign calls have accounted for about 4 to 5% of the sales that have transpired in the last year. Okay, that's where they've met their agent. I think that's very, very low because lead conversion techniques really aren't that good in the industry. So as we get started here, for those that haven't been here before, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about specific properties, when people call and want information on that property, and sort of the right way to start those conversations, the right way to control those conversations, and the right way to handle some objections and get the appointment. Now, Eric, and just a little bit of background. A little bit of background here. So 36% of people that call in on a property or inquire about a property, 36% of people get no response at all. None. So in other words, I hire Tom over here to sell my house. I negotiate a great rate of 7%, and yet he only gets back to, well, just over 60% of the inquiries. Probably not good, but that's an industry reality. Another thing we got to really look at and pay attention to in our industry is the response time. For those that do get a response, the average time to get that response is between 5 and 9 hours later. Now, imagine that. If I'm calling in on your listing, Tom, is there a possibility that maybe I'm calling in on other people's listings too?
Probably a remote possibility.
Remote, just, you know, a smidge, right?
About 99% remote.
Exactly, because most people surfing on Zillow or Realtor.com or, you know, Hot Pads or wherever they're looking, they're probably not going, this is the only property in the world I want info on. They might pick 3 or 4. And by the way, what happens if I call Eric? No response. I call Tom? No response. I call Hunter? I get a response. What happens to Tom and Eric's properties here? They may fall by the wayside. Very easy, okay? So the seller that hired me for 7% to sell their home now is not only am I losing opportunity because I'm not responding to, well, 36% of the people, but now the people I am responding to is 5 to 9 hours later when they've already dealt with that for the day. They maybe have met 2 other agents. So that's our industry standard. That's our competition. Now, the reason we've done so well in here when it comes to lead conversion is because we have people in place that will respond to inquiries within 30 seconds. So that's the practice right there. And if you're going to do your own lead gen, and by the way, you should, the reason that being a listing agent is awesome is because you can generate leads off those listings over and over again. And we just talked about open houses. It's a face-to-face lead conversion. Okay? So let's talk about how those conversations might roll. The phone's going to ring because you're going to respond. Either you saw their inquiry come in online or they called on the property, but you're going to call them back. As soon as they answer the phone, and I will say this, we've done this in quite a few test groups where we will pretend to be the buyer or a buyer, just call in and see what kind of responses we're getting from agents. And what we're getting time and time again is over-screening and over-qualifying, not all that friendly, are you wasting my time type vibe, or they're reading down the script of information that's not relevant at all to me, the buyer. Yeah, the price of the property is $300,000. I'm like, I know that. I'm looking at it on Zillow right now. I can see that. Okay, so that's kind of the general consensus of what we experience when we are calling in and see what buyers, you know, what they're going through when they call in a property. So, that being said, let's talk about the best practices of how to respond to those inquiries. The phone rings. Eric answers. Hello. Now, one thing I will say is I always like to identify what triggered me to call. And I'm going to do that by, hi, I'm responding to an inquiry on XYZ Main Street. I'm letting him know right away why I'm calling. And this has been one of the things that we've noticed too, that if I immediately say, hey, I'm a realtor and I'm calling you, instantly you're going to see somebody go, I don't really want to talk to a realtor, or why are you calling me? It kind of just gets you off on the wrong foot. However, I'm responding to your inquiry, or to an inquiry, on XYZ Main Street. Now I want to make sure I've got the right person. Am I speaking to the right person?
Yes, you are.
Why do I ask that? Well, because it could have been his wife, his son, or anybody else in the house that's calling on or looking on the property. He just told me I've got the right person. Great, fantastic. My name is Mike with Realty Group. Who am I speaking to?
This is Eric.
Awesome. So now I've gotten the reason I'm calling, who I am, verifying I got the right person, and get his name and introduction out of the way, all in the first 10 seconds. Okay? Now, we still don't know why Eric called. We could play the game of 20 guesses to wonder what he wants and start reading him information, or we could ask him. Right? You inquired on XYZ Main Street, Eric? How can I help you?
Is this property still available?
Is the property still available? Now, if I'm reading down the price and things that we just mentioned, not relevant, right? Yes, Eric, the property is still available. By the way, remember there's two questions that we ask. One, how can I help you? The other side of that coin, it's like two sides of the same coin. How can I help you, and what attracted you to the property? Yes, Eric, it is still available. By the way, what attracted you to this property?
Looks like a nice home.
Okay, so it looks like a nice home. What is it about the home that you thought was nice, Eric?
Well, just driving by, it looks nice. Outside, it looks nice on the outside. Location's great.
Now, what did we just learn?
Location.
He likes the location. Right. He drove past the house. Now, is it typical that maybe perhaps, we're tucked back in this nice little cool cul-de-sac? I mean, is he just randomly driving through weird neighborhoods? Tom does that with binoculars, but I don't know there. I mean, is it possible that maybe he's intentionally in that neighborhood? Right?
I sit in trees, I don't have to drive.
You are stealth like that, Tom.
Gas is expensive.
You're a very stealthy guy.
That's why you fell out of that tree.
So,
Happy haircut, Andy.
So what I'm doing is I'm establishing some assumptions here based on what he's saying. So he's in the area for a reason, right? So great, you thought the house had great curb appeal, it looked good to you, you said you were driving through the neighborhood. What brought you to the neighborhood? Do you live close by?
Looking to relocate there.
Awesome. What's about this neighborhood that you like?
A little closer to work.
Now, keep in mind, if I'm talking to Eric and he called from the internet or inquired from the internet, what's happening right now as I'm talking to him? He's getting phone call after phone call after phone call from other agents. Because the other agents that are buying leads at 30, 40, 50 bucks a lead, they're going to be trying to get to him too. So I'm keeping him on the line. I want to figure out more about Eric, and I want to keep other people away from him at this point, right?
And this is a sign call, correct? Your sign is in the.
I'm going to say this right now could be Realtor.com. And there's a lot of us in here that have Realtor.com and Zillow accounts, so we're going to right now.
When I've kind of steered away from this when Andy's already spoke to them.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm talking. Yeah.
You've been given my information from Andy Reffenberger.
Yep.
Okay,
Hold on. Stop. What I'm saying is that this is for those that are doing their own lead conversion, their own Realtor.com and Zillow accounts. So yeah, so that's why when Andy's doing it, it's a different conversation.
Okay.
This is what Andy is doing,
Yes.
and what you should be doing on yours.
Gotcha.
Hey, how's it going?
Sorry, thanks.
So we were just saying, Dan, your vast knowledge of the Twin Cities going the same route every day that you forget where the road closures are, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so anyway,
Welcome to Real Group.
anyway.
You're late. Welcome.
We've got through the process of figuring out a few things about Eric and what's going to be important to him. We know area and location is important to him. This is the location he wants to be in. He's driving by, seeing that's a nice house. He likes the curb appeal, likes the aesthetic value to it, right? Now, if you notice, every time I answer a question, what am I doing? Asking another question, right? Okay. So if I run out of things to say, I can always go 2 questions about the house. So Eric, if you saw it online, you probably did see it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. Is that kind of the description you're looking for?
More or less, I need at least 3, but 4 is nice.
Perfect, gotcha. Now, also online, you probably saw the price of $200,000. Is that the price range you're looking at?
Yeah, I probably got some room up to 250.
Nice, perfect. Now I'm learning about Eric. I'm learning about what he likes, what he doesn't, what he needs, what he doesn't, right? Because what's going to happen in a minute, what am I going to go for?
The kill.
Exactly. I reach right through the phone and grab him, right? I'm gonna get that appointment, but I don't wanna just show one house, correct? What do I wanna do? I wanna get alternative properties. Now, Dan was one of the people in here that, within the last year, shows up to a showing from one of the leads with alternative properties in hand. He showed a HUD home that probably wasn't so nice, and they go, oh man, I don't really like this unit, wish we, this just isn't for me. And Dan says, well, we got one really close right by, want to go look at this one? They went down there and they bought that place that day. That happens commonly. So having the alternative properties is great. So as I'm talking to Eric and I'm learning more about him, I'm going to say, you know what, Eric, I'll tell you what, right now it's 9:30 in the morning. What's your schedule looking like tonight, either at 4 or tomorrow at 1:30? What works for you?
This evening's better.
Perfect. We're going to get through the property, take a look at it. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. That's no problem. But I'm also going to pick about 3 or 4 other ones in the area just to maximize your time for comparison's sake. Before we let him go, by the way, we got a couple other things we got to do. What do we got to do? We got to check for
Other decision makers.
yes, influencers, decision makers. Has anybody ever ran into Dad? Do we love Dad in this industry? Dad's awesome, right? You're this close.
I
This
usually love
close.
Dad.
What's that?
I usually love Dad.
Let me tell you something. You are this close to closing that transaction. You're at the home inspection, and all of a sudden, Dad comes walking in, and you're like, "Who's this guy?" Well, I brought my dad, and you're going, "I already know what's going to happen here. This is just going to be a dumpster fire from start to finish because no matter how good the house is, something's wrong with it, and he's going to be saying, renegotiate or cancel every single time because Dad doesn't like getting brought in the 11th hour." Same thing with, even if he's not a true partner or financial backer in the transaction, so he's not necessarily a decision maker, but he's an influencer. And he has more influence than you do, believe it or not. So, we're going to want to make sure.
He's writing the check. Absolutely.
Yeah, even if he's not, he still has more influence, trust me. So anyway, before I let Eric go, I'm going to ask him, because he just told me that tonight's going to work fine, great. Is there anybody else there that we should extend an invitation to the showing?
My husband.
Perfect, great. What's Dan doing, by the way?
I'm getting lost.
They are kind of weird. All right, so anyway, we are definitely going to go down the road to see who we should have at that showing. So if we invite those decision makers or influence in, even if they don't come right away, the reality is they like the invitation, they want to feel like they're part of it. That's kind of how it works. Awesome. So we're gonna bring in your family. That's great. No problem, Eric. Also, one other thing I got to do. What is it?
Make sure they're not working with an agent.
Yes, and as Dan always like to point out, the whole conversation about up to this point has been about who? It's been about the consumer. Now we're flipping it around. Now it's kind of about us. The last tail end of it.
It's one question now.
One question. It's about us, right? Eric, I just want to make sure I'm not stepping on any ethical toes right here. Are you signed with another agent?
No, I'm not.
Great, then I'll see you at 5 o'clock. When they say the answer is yes, I am signed with another agent, you go, why are you talking to me then? Right? They do it. They'll do it. My agent's out deer hunting, so I want you to, show me the house, write the offer, and I want him to get paid. Sounds like a great plan to me, but,
Can I point out 2 things?
Yeah.
Did any of those questions that he ever asked, when Mike was asking him that question, was any of them ever a yes, no? No. Hey, the price of the property you saw on Zillow is $200,000. Is that the price it's going to be at?
Well, except signed with an agent, which is,
Right.
of course.
Okay.
well, the qualifying questions, yeah, you want to make sure. Now, Eric says to me, what's the price?
What's the price?
Thank you for asking, Eric. The price is $200,000.
Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm just going to do the regular way that most people do. The price is $200,000.
Oh, thanks, click.
Oh, thank you, goodbye, click. And I go, whoa, well, he can afford it anyway. No, he didn't want the house, it's too expensive. He wasn't going to buy it anyway. That's the typical response. However, if I ask him, price is $200,000, Eric, is that the price range you're looking at? But Eric wants 180.
No, looking more in the 180.
So, now, do we have a disconnect, right? Maybe this property will, maybe it won't work, we don't know. $20,000 gap, we can usually find creative ways to make that happen. Even if we can't, do we just let the buyer off the line? Do we just hang up on them? No. We're going to explore what brought him there to that number. 180, no problem, Eric. By the way, just out of curiosity, what brought you to that number?
That's what I'm qualified for.
Awesome. Okay, do you know if you're qualified for 180 based on monthly payment, down payment, or a combination of both?
Not really sure.
Did you say monthly payment or what?
No.
Oh.
You want to write that 100 times on the chalkboard? Not
Punish
listening,
me,
not
Mike,
listening
punish
again.
me, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so anyway, we've got what brought you to that number? Down payment, monthly payment, combination of both. Now, I will also say, a lot of times what I'm gonna ask people is, because you don't want to assume everybody needs a mortgage. That's a bad assumption. If somebody's trying to buy in cash and you're pushing a lender on them, that offends people. Okay, so before I ask that question, a lot of times what I will ask is, you know, Eric, generally there's a few different ways people purchase real estate. Either they're gonna buy it in cash, get a mortgage, or get a gift. Where do you fall in there?
Mortgage.
Mortgage, okay, great.
Does anybody take goats?
Harder.
How many you got?
I have 3.
Well, we already talked about the chickens in the other day for that. for that
Peacocks,
conversation.
we now have 7.
We actually had more than one person that bought houses in the last year that needed to have a house so they could have chickens there. Yeah. Okay, so
Okay, HOAs don't like chickens, I've had that fired twice.
yeah, HOAs do not like chickens. Just keep that in mind. And there's covenants in other neighborhoods
Lousy
too.
house pets.
So, all right, Eric. Now, if you tell me that 180 is your max, right? And I tell you, well, why don't you just go ahead and spend $200,000, or you know, what's an extra 20 grand? Is there a possibility that you might just get offended and hang up on me?
Oh, yeah.
However, if I ask you, if I inquire what brought you to 180, and you tell me it's, you know, hey, my monthly payment really needs to be at $1,200. That's what I was approved on. And I go, hey, no problem. Let me run the math on this. The one you called in right now, by the way, is looking at the rate that you just quoted me, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1175, and that's at 200,000. By the way, 200,000 is a negotiable price there. We may be able to do better than that. We won't know if you even like it till we see it. So our first step really is getting in there to see if you like it. If you like it, then we'll figure out how to make it work for you. So we're certainly going to take a look at the property. We want to make sure to still get that appointment. However, in the industry, what we hear more often than anything else is, hey, Eric, the price is 200 grand. And you go, thank you. Because in your head, you already know you don't want to spend more than 180. I told you 200, and I just sat there giving you the opportunity to hang up the phone. That's what you don't want to do. Any questions on that?
Don't you think that's more of a conversation after you meet with them face to face? I mean, can you screw up the whole appointment by getting?
You can, and this is why I hate the word scripts. Because a script is a hard guideline of how a conversation goes. You're going to see that these things pop up. You will be able to book appointments in 10 seconds sometimes. Other times it'll take 10 minutes. Sometimes they're asking you questions that's going to prompt you to have that conversation. So really, I don't like the word scripts, but I mean kind of built-in auto responses. When it comes up, whether it's right now, 10 minutes from now, or at the showing, here's the way to handle it. Yeah.
Usually with a specific property, when it comes to like Realtor.com or Zillow,
Yeah.
they already know the price, so that's probably not even a conversation.
Or what'll happen is they say, is the price still? Or they'll test it, because you know, when people that have been savvy and have been around a little bit have seen things that don't reflect online. You know, something that was priced at 200 that now might be down to 190. So they'll call and say, hey, what's the price? Just making sure it's still
Do
accurate.
you think you can get me a good deal on it?
Yeah, is the seller willing to move? My favorite question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is the seller willing? Are they flexible? How long has it been on the market? Oh, it's been on the market 13 minutes. Definitely overpriced. I want to make it a lower offer. That's what they're looking for somebody to say. Yes, let's go negotiate here.
The often when you get an open house is, how much is this? This is 200,000. Oh my gosh, I'd never pay that much for this house.
Yep.
The follow-up I always use is, well, how much would you pay?
Right. Yep.
And then, well, let's go back to the office and take a look
Exactly.
and see how it compares.
But what you don't want to do is butt heads and start arguing
Exactly,
over
you
it.
don't wanna, yeah, I'm on
Correct.
your side. Wow,
Yep.
you wanna pay, how much did you pay? I'd pay 108, wow, that much, huh?
Yeah,
Let's
that
go
would get you in
backwards.
trouble with agency right there when it's your listing, by the way. But no, but the reality is yeah, your seller's in the closet going, what did you just say? But no, the reality is if you start butting heads with people and telling them they're wrong,
Yeah.
that's where you're going to get in trouble because you won't convert them, they won't trust you. If you give them valid advice without butting heads and things to think about, that's why you ask questions. Now keep in mind, guys, the person that talks the most will dominate the conversation. The person that asks the most questions will control it. You don't want to dominate it, you want to control it. You want it to lead it to where you want it to go. So even on that pricing thing, when I ask Eric, and he says 180,000, if I start butting heads with him or telling him I can find ways to get him more, he might go, I don't want more. I'm comfortable at 180. Great, what brought you to that number? Well, I'm really comfortable with $1,200 a month. Awesome, so as long as we can stay within $1,200, you're gonna be comfortable. Yes, great, when you run the math, that still puts you above 190 on this house. It's still close enough to take a look at. Now, I'm telling him you can go higher without being uncomfortable. That's really what I'm saying. And he might go, worth taking a look, perfect. And even if he doesn't want to, he just says, nah, I just don't want to go above 180. Great, it might not even be worth 180. Let's take a look at it. Once we figure out if you like it, then we'll figure out what to do with it. By the way, less than 5% of people are going to buy the house they call in on anyway. We don't care about that house. That's why we don't care if it's sold under inspection. We don't care if it's overpriced. All we care about is can we get the appointment to build the relationship. Once we do that, then the conversion comes in much easier.
Well, $10,000 more is about $1 a day more in principle. Would you pay $1 a day more to live in this house?
You sound like one of those Feed My Starving Children commercials, or
But it works.
from
They don't
the Ethiopian.
that an extra.
But you gotta qualify it in principle. You know, would you pay $1? How much is that pop you drink? Well, I paid 75 cents. Throw that pop away. You could live in this house for.
Now this is again what you're talking about is misunderstanding and misconceptions that you can uncover by asking questions. So an extra $10,000 equals, with a 4% interest rate, what? About $4 per thousand per month. That's what it is, right? So, I mean, an extra $10,000 might increase your payment, a few bucks a month, really. So, anyway, any questions on any of that? Nothing. No, not all at once. Raise your hands, everyone. All right. Bueller. Okay, so moving on from that. That's the easier conversion, guys. Why? Because they have interest on a specific property. It's all right there for you. Dan, what do you think the harder conversion is?
Customer service.
The non-specific property, customer service. Oops, I landed on the landing page, entered information, and here I got somebody calling me. Commissions Inc., Facebook, Google AdWords, a lot of the informational sites that people are just researching buying a property in the process. Those are harder conversions. Why?
They're not anticipating a call.
That's number one.
They didn't raise their hand and say what, and so you're coming in out of left field.
You're coming in way out of left
How did you
field.
get my information?
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, how did you know I?
I always say that Angie sold it to me. She does that.
Yeah, you
Call
should.
her. Yeah. So
And
anyway.
then I'll convert them.
Yeah, there we go. So the reality is, guys, is the non-specific property, customer service style, landing page, suite page kind of leads, and a lot of them are very new in the process. Well, as buyers advance closer to the finish line, they get more sophisticated in the way they search and the type of questions they have. So these people could be 6 months or a year out from ever doing anything, landed on, they're sitting there late at night, screwing around the internet, research, mortgages, get caught on your landing page somehow, sign up for some free report of something, and boom, they're getting called as a lead. Now, those leads, by the way, when you're purchasing them through either Ylopo or Commissions Inc. or Boomtown or wherever you're doing, those leads are going to be a lot cheaper. The specific property, the portal leads like Realtor.com or Zillow, those are spendy. You can pay literally in some markets. I know a guy in California, in San Francisco, paying $20,000 a month on a Zillow Realtor.com account. 20 grand every single month. Of course, their average sale price over there is like $1.2 million, but it's still a pretty big nut to crack every single month, right? So here, we're paying a lot of times between $30 and $40 a lead, depending on our zip code we're in. Think about that. Better leads, but there's more leads to sift through with the cheaper non-specific property ones. Just kind of how it works. So let's talk about that. Anybody in here right now doing any? Are you? What platform?
Honey, I don't know what the question is. How'd you know the question? Or what?
Because she's paying attention.
So am I.
100 times on the chalkboard. What platform?
Ylocal,
Yeah.
and then Buyer.
Okay, you're doing Z-Buyer.
Yeah.
Nice. We're going to talk because that platform right now is hands down the highest conversion of any seller lead that I know of in the country.
It's awesome.
Yes, we're gonna be talking.
For leads, it's awesome. For
Yep.
buyer leads, it's
But yeah, a little crazy there. Yeah, a little sketchy there.
So
but
you're buying your own leads from that site or that.
yeah, and then I do Facebook advertising every single day.
Beautiful.
And, I don't know, maybe like 50 or 60 leads a month through Facebook. But
Nice.
Facebook leads, I find, they don't want to
Right.
And more often than not, I mean, I put them on my drip campaign and I put them on like a monthly call list. And more often than not, I find that the Facebook people, like, eventually by like the 6th month, they're like, don't ever contact me.
Yes, yeah. The conversion rate's so low on those, you know, and the cost per lead's low, so that's kind of the good thing, but
I mean,
it's
but for
so
the
low.
most part, the only thing that I mean, I pretty much abandoned all my Facebook for that reason, and so what I'm doing now is just promoting houses. And then it's more like you're getting that specific property,
Yep.
and people come in there, and that has been a much higher conversion rate. And people
Much,
just
much
look
higher.
for
And you're gonna
it.
pay more for it, but it goes, there's two philosophies in the industry, right? I don't either wanna be busy as hell with just a bunch of leads, so I feel like I'm busy, or I want less to deal with, but I want, you know, maybe one lead a day, but I want it to be a good lead, you know? So there's two different schools of thought there. We are developing right now, and we'll probably end up talking some really good drip campaigns, really strong calls to action, you know, kind of good value pieces to hopefully sift through some of those crappy leads and find the good ones, find the gold. But point is if you're going to be dealing in those, and Y Local, by the way, I've heard a lot of good things, but not from this part of the country.
No, we canceled, and they gave us a full refund.
That's what we had.
But
We
what
did the
I
same
will say,
thing.
though, is that I still have about 150 leads.
Yeah.
And those ones, I mean, some of them came in, 4 or 5 months ago, and those ones are the ones that are never converted.
Yes. Yep.
And so that's good. I mean,
But I heard their filters weren't nearly as good as what they were claiming. So.
We were in Egan, and they were giving us leads for
Yep.
Delano.
Yep.
I mean, all the way out there, and they didn't even tell us. They just said, well, Egan was too expensive.
Yes. Yep.
It's like, well, Delano's not even close.
Yep.
So-
So I've heard that from two people now. You guys. I've heard that from you guys, and I've heard it from one other here too. That this part of the world, they have not got the filters right yet.
They
So.
openly admitted that.
Yeah.
They told us that they couldn't figure out our Minnesota marketing
Yep.
plans and all that. We
Yep.
just couldn't figure it out.
Okay, so moving forward, guys, let's talk about non-specific property type leads. How are we opening up with our conversation? What's different? Let's talk first. We'll go with sync. Okay, so in other words, there's a landing page built, driving traffic from Facebook, Google AdWords, wherever to the landing page. They want some kind of information. You know, yeah, set me up on a future property search, or perhaps talk to me about the buying process as a whole. That's where the phone call is going to come in. So, Dan, want to run with the opening on this one? Yes.
You've talked about Z-Buyer
Mhm.
previously in, I think, even just Tuesday meetings?
Yeah.
I mean, how close are we to using that service?
See the guy next to you? He's already
You're
got
on
it. Yep. So, all right.
Corporate because of people like you.
Welcome.
So anyway, here's the thing, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. All right. So we're gonna start that opening conversation. We'll start right now from the platform of Sync, landing page, style leads, ring, hello.
Hey, so you really approach it like your customer service call, so we call it that, right? All right, so the opening is, hi, hey, just a quick courtesy call. Well, thank you for visiting our site. Straight up, this is a big thank you, right? I haven't set a name yet. You say, hey, saw you on our site. We want to reach out. We strive to give a top-notch customer service around. So what you get is you get a real live person on the call to see how can you help, if there's anything you're doing, and to check in. How is that site working for you?
And they're gonna say, what site are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying. I mean, whatever the response is, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, right? And think of it this way. Put yourself in the mindset of I'm in a big corporate call center. Use the words we. We built this platform for you. We have a responsibility to service it. We want to make sure you're taken care of. What that does then later is, because eventually you want to set, you're not necessarily setting an appointment. If the conversation goes for an appointment, fantastic. But this one may not. At minimum, you're setting the expectation that you're going to contact them again, and you're going to nurture and work out with them and work through whatever they're going to, right?
And one thing you're going to do is you're going to definitely start identifying what brought them on the site, even if they don't remember the site at all. What brought you searching around real estate sites in the first place? What information we're looking for? Well, I'm just curious to see, what the process is, and where do I start? What's my first steps? Whatever they're telling you, it doesn't matter what site they're on. If they remember the site, it doesn't matter. What matters is what were you looking for, because that's when we can interject some real value. By the way, if we've never met these people, we don't have a specific property to show them, they're brand new in the search, they don't want to talk to us, what can we do to actually break down some of those walls? We've got to show them real value. We got to say something that's going to make them go, you know what? I've been searching the internet for 2 days, and I just got information from you that I couldn't find there. That's awesome. I need you. I need questions answered, you're gonna be my guy. We gotta set up a real value piece. If we can't do that, we're just gonna blend in the background. The only way we can do that is if we start asking questions. What do they want? What do they need? What are they looking for? And looking for areas we can interject things they don't know. By the way, is it possible you may know more than the general public about the buying process? If not, totally in the wrong industry right now.
Right. So again, it's the we're here to help, and you enter in that question, we're here to help, similar. And then Mike said, what has you looking today? What has you going on and about? Yeah.
So what if you don't know what the site is? So
It's fine.
Z-Buyer, I don't know what ads are.
No, it's fine.
Yep. So on ZBuyer, what it is it could have been a number of different sites that they came from that funnel them in there. It's just a bunch of landing pages, right? So you might change your messaging on ZBuyer instead of saying, hey, we built the site for you, but hey, I'm following up because you landed somewhere on a site looking for information about selling your home. How is that going for you? What info were you looking for? How can I help you? So you're going to change your messaging a little bit on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, because you get to the how can I help. You landed somewhere. One of the platforms we support. Right, something like that. Right? One of the platforms we support, we always reach out and we strive for. This is what we strive to give the best customer service out there. You're now setting expectations that we rock. Right? And what has you looking today?
And whatever information's on those sites, one of the sites you landed on, in the end result, it's always going to come back to you're going to need someone to help you interpret information and give you information tailored to you, and that's what I'm here for. That's what you're trying to articulate.
And then you go through, then it's the middle of the conversation is the same. Ask a question, answer a question. You always answer with another one. Right? From the same process we just did is just that whole thing. And then you're going to feel it. Is it book an appointment? Is it book a follow-up information? Is it further explain something else? Is it introduce and get a lender to call them? Is it this one?
What is the next action item is what it's going to come down to. Because one thing that people fail to do is, even if they set them up an MLS search or some property search of some kind, I'll set you up in the search, call me when you see something. Don't leave it in their hand. You've got to set that call to action for yourself, saying, I'm going to reach back with you tonight or tomorrow, and I'm going to make sure that search worked for you, and we'll see about which ones you like and don't like, and we can tweak it based on what you see, what your tastes are. I'm going to set some reason why I'm going to follow back up with them. I'm going to put it on a calendar for them, for us, for them, for me, so both of us know what's going to happen, and we're going to make sure that we stick with that follow-up.
And remember, enter the word we at the top end. If I'm working with an ISA, Hunter here, right? Hunter's nurturing lead, maybe kicked his me, but I went, hey Hunter, can you continue to nurture it for me? It's a we, so hi, myself or someone from my team will be following up. So then now we start connecting the dots, and then we don't have this, well, I got this guy Hunter calling me, and then I got this guy Dan calling me. No, it's you phrase as, someone from my group, we're here to support you, we always make sure your service, one of us will be following up with you, most likely me, or whatever. But if you start with the we in the side, you can leverage the we in the backside, and then if you have a support staff or someone else calling, you don't have a disconnect then on expectations.
Yeah, because what will happen is, and we've seen this with our ISAs many, many times, where people fail to understand that even though Andy may have called, and they're talking to Andy, and then Eric hears into the follow-up, and what will happen is somebody from RE/MAX will call because they got the same lead, and they think that it's Eric, when it's not. So one thing I'm going to add to what Dan's saying is set the expectation someone from the team is going to call, but the team is going to be referenced as
Whoever it is.
whoever it is. Yep. So that way there's no, if it's anybody other than, for example, Dan runs Pinnacle. If it's anybody other than the Pinnacle team that calls, it's not us. So you want to make sure that you're articulating who's going to be calling.
Okay. So that's why, hey, we are glad you're here. It sets up for problems and confusion at the backside, right? You're just setting a chessboard, and that's an important piece to set right away.
Any questions on that so far? Because we're gonna role play a little bit of this out in a minute. But any questions on the non-specific property before we go? What are some value pieces go ahead.
I guess, how often are you contacting these people? I mean, especially with the ones that have the non-specific property.
Say that 5 times fast, I dare you.
I mean, they may be 6 to 12 months out, and so
Yep.
what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to say, here's my initial contact, I'll follow up again, like more aggressively when they first come in until I actually get a hold of them.
Yep.
And then I put them on like, I'm gonna follow up every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
Until they get more to that 6-month mark, and then I follow up more frequently. What do you guys
So-
recommend in terms
So
of?
what I like to do is, first off, during my question analysis, I'm going to figure out when they want to move. If they say 6 months, I'm going to ask them what brought them to 6 months. Well, my lease is over in 6 months. Okay, great. So Dan, that's perfect. That's awesome. That it's up in 6 months. Now, when you are purchasing a new home, generally there's a few ways people can do that. Either they're going to get a mortgage, pay in cash, or get a gift. Where do you fall in?
I will need to get a loan.
You will need to get a loan. Great. So if I understand right, December 1st is the end of your lease, correct?
Yeah.
Now, right now, Dan, on average, it's taking people 10 to 12 weeks to find the house that they're gonna buy and purchase. That's the average, man. I tell you, it's crazy out there because there's not a lot of inventory, and people take their time doing the right things, searching through houses, making sure they get the right one. So that's about the average. Now, the beauty of this is it works like this: 10 to 12 weeks would put us about 3 months. It might take another 60 days or so to close on that once you find it. Once we close on it, you won't have a payment for likely 45 to 60 days. I'm betting that we could probably time this out, that you can not be doubled up on a lease and a mortgage payment in the same month, and you can start looking as early as tomorrow. I'm not saying you're going to buy as early tomorrow. It might take you 10 to 12 weeks, but you're right at that point that you get a good, solid education about your neighborhood, about the process, about going from A to Z with this, where you're not shotgunning it, not rushing it. I think you're calling it the perfect time, Dan. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to move him to being from a B or a C buyer closer to an A. Now, an A is somebody that is going to be writing offers within 30, 45 days. A B, 45 to 90, C, 90 plus. I want to move them up the ladder, because what happens when you move them up the ladder? What happens to their urgency? All of a sudden, they want to hear from you more often. It's more urgent. Okay? If truly we got to wait for 6 months, no problem. So my response is going to be something like this. So Dan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you set up on this search. I'm going to get you relevant, that's the key word, I'm going to get you relevant information to you in the buying process. So as I'm sending a few of these pieces early on, you will probably hear from me a couple times in the next few days as I'm sending stuff to make sure you got it and makes sense. After that, you probably will hear from me about every 3 weeks or so. I want to set up in the beginning a little bit more context so they get used to hearing from me and talking to me. I want to establish in their mind, I'm the guy. If I talk to them once, put them on an MLS search, and don't talk to them again for 6 weeks, I'm in the background. I'm white noise at this point. Once I establish a relationship and establish how often we're going to be talking, might be 3 weeks or 4 weeks, that's fine. In the meantime, I'm sending them other stuff, drip campaigns, newsletters, updates. I'm going to friend them on Facebook. I'm going to do all the kinds of things to make sure that I'm staying in front of them. In fact, with Facebook, they have this really cool thing you can do. It's called targeting. Little targeting pixels you can attach. So basically, if you can get them to engage with your stuff, you can literally target those people with future ads and future announcements right on social media, which is awesome. Tom, you want to explain how that works? I know you're a pro. You get the millennial generation going for you. Come on.
The Facebook ad I'm running right now, I could set up age groups and that. I can set up men and women who I want to target, and which I'm targeting both. At least for that.
Angie,
That was too much of a
that was
softball for
too much of a lot for her. Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
put that in.
Yeah. And then I can say how much I want to spend, how often it goes out,
Yep.
how long I run it,
Yep.
and that.
Wait,
So,
wait, you were doing this on Facebook?
Yes, me.
Who helped you?
No one.
A liar.
No.
Okay.
Alright, so it is
And you
banker.
can even
Yeah,
target
so-
this too. So you can say, like, if you're on a lakefront property, you can say, I want to target people that have expressed interest in fishing.
Or canoeing or whatever. Yep.
and I'm
Yep.
running a copy of the book, and it says, who do you know that would like a free copy of this book?
Right.
That's my ad going out with this free book.
How the hell did you figure that out?
So,
I'm a veritable cesspool of knowledge.
okay, so let's partner up, everybody.
Targeting
Ones,
shit.
2s or 3s, doesn't matter, but let's partner up and
Nobody ever wants to be my partner.
but you're probably gonna have to. You're used to that by now.
Don't be my partner. Yeah. Poor guy. He doesn't know. Sure. Come on, you can jump in with us.
Okay,
Suppose I have to talk to you.
What's different
You
first?
don't have to.
we'll go specific property first. We've got 2 objections, so you can pick which one you want.
Come sit with us. I'm Tom. I really like my hair.
All different things.
So if you,
Yep, it's been on the market for. Are you asking?
It's on its way.
Hey, buyers, when you role play,
okay, guys, we got 2 objections.
when you're role playing and you're the buyer, pick which one of these you want to go with, or go with both. You're going to do both scenarios, right? One is, hey, it's $25,000 over price.
Over what I want to spend.
Over what I want
Yeah.
to spend, right? Over what I can afford. $25,000 gap. It's listed for $225,000. I cap out at $220,000. Or, man, this home's been on the market for 107 days. What's wrong with it? Or what's going on? Or is the seller willing to move? Or something
Yeah.
like that. Something where
Yeah.
length of market time, and then insert whatever else you want to
Yeah.
follow on that.
It's an objection of why has it been on so long? What's wrong with it? It's been on X amount of days. Okay, so your challenge is to set an appointment with somebody telling you or asking you what the hell's wrong with this thing, but you still got to set the appointment. So that's your objection. All right.
Market set, go.
My red rope in there, the first letter in there is confirmation of the loan payoff. Can you see it?
No, I didn't, I just saw the stuff.
I hate.
It's in the back.
I hate.
Read it back. You see the new truck? You went-
Hi, this is Tom, how can I help you? So what about this house?
No, number 24.
You would be receiving my name. I'm a real estate agent.
So,
So it's 2 bedrooms and that, let me see, oh yeah.
Well, I saw the property on the site, and I like the I'm curious.
yeah, yeah. I can't
So why are we?
Right now, it's listed online.
Yeah.
So you want to give out?
What price are you looking for? Well, you, in your notes, you said you were interested in seeing the property.
But can they have the adjuster, they have the, these,
If you're interested in seeing it,
it's the same thing like if you have a mortgage.
Regardless of this, no, I'm not, because I don't get stuck. I hate this stuff. I don't get stuck on I say, I'm not trying to overprice you, but you look for this at for a certain reason. Let's meet up. Let's meet at the property. You need to know what the basis is in your mind physically, what we're looking for. I want you to know why this is at 225. Maybe
Casey's the master over there, so.
maybe there's a reason it's 225, and this will be more apparent to you when we
She'll get you back. She'll lose you, but she'll get you right back.
how I get people in my car.
Well,
They're like-
kinda, sorta. You
No.
berate them and then tell them they're stupid and they get in the car.
That is not what I'm.
This is Asia you're talking about, right?
I have closing this one from, they get in my car. You're being a, I don't wanna be his partner. But you know what I mean, every sometimes lend too much attention to a spot that I shouldn't. But at the end, I contact and that's all I give a shit about. I will go and see two properties that are completely out of their, I know they're not gonna be happy with me, but I go there.
When did you install soapboxes?
Oh, I've been on those for years here.
You're asking like that?
Listen,
Why don't we meet there at 2 o'clock? I'll set up some.
I'm not doing this role play anymore. If you want to do it, you can.
Hello?
No, it's usually,
Hello?
Oh, we're supposed to be doing this?
I dumped him, so you can have it.
Mark? Hey, you?
33
Kids miss you.
Are you saying Marco Polo?
Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, this is courtesy call following up on XYZ Main Street. I got the right person.
Oh, yeah, I drove past that about 2 hours ago.
Well, awesome. This is Eric Upsall with Realty.
My name's Hunter.
Hey, Hunter, how can I help you?
Well, I drove past the property, I did look at it online, I saw the price. I really like the way it looks. I'm a little concerned though that the price is higher than the whole price.
So, just out of curiosity, Hunter, what kind of price point are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at around 200,000. That's really where I feel like I need to be.
Sure. Is there a specific reason you're at that price point, Hunter?
I feel like that's where I could go to. I have enough money in my savings to put it down payment higher than
Okay. So obviously, it sounds like you've been in communication with the lender.
no, I'm going off of stuff I heard online.
Okay. All right, makes sense. Well, at least you're putting some effort into the process. I commend you on that. So this one's at, I believe this one was at 225, and you're saying 200. You know, a lot of times this one's been on the market for like 2 weeks. So right now in the current market conditions, that tells me that the house is probably overpriced. But what I would suggest, Hunter, is at least we get out and look at it, just so you know what the house has to offer. Number one. Number two, what I'd like to do is set up a couple other homes in the area that are more in the price point I'm talking about.
yeah, we're in.
Yeah, the White Meadow.
Alright, cool. Well, that's all I need for now, man.
I actually live in White Bear. So, off of Market Street.
Saw that.
Wow, okay. Excellent. Then, yeah, I know that. Okay. So you have other houses in mind that are in that area? I mean, I've been driven around.
Yeah, you see that
Circle by where I like to
really want to
the entire area. Explain to me why you think it's
Well, because the market conditions we're currently in, it's a seller's market. So it seems like anything that's priced right is selling like within days. Sometimes the sellers will get exact offers. So typically one house is on the market for 2 weeks. That's my first indication is that it's overpriced. So White Bear, what has you interested in White Bear?
Well, my grandmother was born in White Bear. And I miss being around.
Oh, sweet. Sounds great. Where do you live currently?
Well, currently I'm in Bismarck, but I'm down
Oh,
here
wow.
visiting family.
Okay, so you come back here for work situation?
No, purely I need to get back to where I'm from. I went out to
This is
work in
not
oil
how the conversation goes. You get into the appointment, you have this conversation after.
See, I'm continuing this conversation because I'm trying to break the matrix inside your head because I noticed you're doing this thing out of the
Well, keep in mind, again, if it's realtor.com, you want to keep them on for 5 minutes. Sometimes you have to.
You do, but then you call them during the day, they're at work. They want to confirm that you're going to meet them at that house and they want to be off the phone.
No,
And
understood.
so I understand that, but
Yeah.
they're pushing, you can
No,
tell.
but
they're pushing.
this is where you have to be flexible. Some people want to talk your ear off. I've had 20-minute conversations.
Oh, yeah, and I'm that way.
Other
I'm
ones
just not-
want to get off. So Hunter the buyer is driving this, and Eric is responding.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. If
But it does happen.
There's driving that.
The longest email I had one time was 45 minutes. I kid you not. I'm like,
No, I think
literally. just saying.
No, I mean, isn't that your kind of experience? In these conversations do occur, but they do
Buyer leads in the evening, this is a conversation.
Sure, absolutely.
It's not, it's,
Sure.
and that's even when it's a specific property. This is a very.
I sat in,
Yeah, nobody wants
they've already talked with Angie, they confirmed that I'm gonna be there at that time, and that's about all. I sat in a showing the other day.
Okay, and then she's coming back. Before she takes action.
That's what we need.
The house was.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's reconvene here. Yeah, let's reconvene here. Tom's still converting over here. He's just that good.
Always be.
Yeah, always be converting. Tom's model.
I'm also working on real estate too.
All right, so challenges. Anybody have any challenges? Anything that did not go well? Who wants to be honest?
Well, specific expectations based on the lead source.
Okay.
Obviously.
Like how?
Well, I mean, we were having a conversation about even if you have a specific property lead, dependent upon if it had an initial interaction with an ISA, and you are the agent getting information from the ISA and talking to the prospective.
Yeah, so you're now third down the line. Yep.
Yeah, you're down the line as opposed to if you're doing this from the initial point of contact.
Yep. Now that's where you're gonna. This is what you just brought up is my number one reason why I want the ISAs and the agents to actually talk, not just go from notes on sync. You need to have a much more like three-dimensional view on how the conversation and the tone was between the ISA and the buyer. Because if I'm the agent coming in, I want to know exactly what was said. I want the advice. I want the tips from the ISA to how to roll into this. This is exactly why I always push. Don't just go from notes and make a phone call. I always have that conversation. Anybody else have any challenges?
Hunter in general.
I've been dealing with that for 30 years.
Oh, I'm joking.
So,
I'm sorry that my intellect overwhelmed you.
all right, so,
Angie asked me to spell it.
anybody else? Any challenges? Did it flow that easy? Was it like, did you guys get stuck on anything?
I'm gonna go through his Facebook post and see how badly he uses
Jesus.
grammar.
Anyway.
Okay, anybody, any challenges at all? Okay, what went well then?
You'd be surprised.
What went well?
We were too easy on each other.
Well, it's Casey over here. She's like, she hits you with marshmallows. So, anything, okay, that was probably the challenge because it went too easy, right? What went well?
Tom was saying the strategy is, we want to see what it's worth to you before we start talking about price. So
Right.
go see it, figure out, full price offer.
Because is it possible that a $200,000 house might be worth $225 to him, but only $180 to him, right? It's very much a personal feel on value. In my opinion, houses are sold almost an auction style. Everybody's saying, well, I would bid this, I would bid that. It's almost like an auction style. It's not like you walk into a gas station, buy a bottle of Mountain Dew for $2.10, and it's non-negotiable. Yes, I know the price of it because I buy it all the time. I mean, it's a set price, right? Real estate, it's what's it worth to me? It's almost like buying art. I mean, I'm not paying $1 million for a painting. I don't care how good it is. I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. Next guy's going to pay $5 million for it because he wants it hanging above his fireplace in his parlor. That's how it kind of works.
Dogs playing poker.
So, Dogs Playing Poker is classic, by the way. Okay, so anyway, my point being that when you're talking about value with somebody and telling somebody it's worth it, this is what it's worth. The seller's going to get $200,000. Respectively, they probably will. But we don't care about that. We care about finding the house that's worth $200,000 to Eric. We need the appointment to do that, though. Otherwise, we're not going to be the one. Okay, what else went well? Anybody hear crickets? I heard one around here somewhere. You guys had 10 minutes of conversation. Nothing went bad. Nothing went well. Who actually talked about lead conversion?
Will you go over the objections you would have for it's been on the market too long?
Sure. Okay, because what am I really saying when I say it's been on the market for 107 days? What am I really saying?
Nobody wants it.
Yeah. I'm questioning the price, the value. Why do I want it if nobody else has? Is a seller crazy? What's going on with this? This is automatically a red flag. Okay? So, one question I'm going to ask, Yes, Eric, it has been on the market for 107 days. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah.
And Paul,
Yeah.
the strategy is to do what? You isolate the objection, right? So you pull it out for a moment, and which is what he's doing.
Yep.
Right? So when you think about it, what's the objection? He's trying to isolate what it is. You heard this statement. It's been on the market 107 days. Okay, what's the actual objection we're getting to? And he's starting to isolate that.
That's what we want to do.
So isolate the objection, step one. Okay.
So, and I say, great, it's a concern for you. What precisely, what exactly is concerning about it? What's not sitting right with you, Eric?
Well, it just seems like everything's moving very fast, and this one's been on 107 days, and you can't figure out why.
Yeah, you're very right. The average days on market right now in this area is about 52 days. For this neighborhood, this is over a little bit. Now, I will say this. Looking at the history of it online right now, it started $10,000 higher than it was. It just had a price reduction about 15 days ago, second one. So, you know, will it sell at this price? Will it not? No idea, okay? But what I will say is this. The only way you're going to know if you like it or what it's worth to you is by taking a look at it. Could sell at this price or it could still be overpriced. We will not know until we go see it. So I'm still going to isolate the objection. I'm still going to get the appointment. And by the way, don't feel bad. If you go and look at it and you don't like it, it's overpriced. No worries. No big deal. But hey, at least we gave it a good effort. That's all we can do. So,
take a step back.
yep,
If you're on the road and you're doing this call,
yep,
you don't have access to know how many days.
very
like,
true.
When there was
Very
a price
true.
reduction,
So-
etc. So now we're.
So what I'm going to say is this. Well, I'll tell you what, Eric, I'm in the car, so I can't look this up. Presumably so, either it's going to be ready for a price reduction, maybe possibly just add one. I don't know what's going on with it, but what we're going to do is I'll set the time to go show it to you tonight, tomorrow, whatever works for you. In the meantime, I'm going to do some research on this, find what I can, pull some comps, get the right info for you, which I will call you back within 2 hours to have that to you, but I still will see you in about 3 to 4. So I'm still going to set the appointment, and I'm gonna get the information, either call you or bring it to the showing, one of the two. But I'm still going to be moving towards that showing. And I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to do to help identify what those concerns are and what might be the solution to it.
No, you said that we should always maximize our showings too, so
Yep.
you said that we should always have 3 to 4 nearby properties.
Yep.
So you set them up and say, I wanna maximize your time, so I'm gonna also pick up a couple of properties nearby.
Absolutely.
Or you just have them in your back pocket and when you meet them, say, you didn't like this one.
We've
so
done
here I
both.
have my iPad and here's
We've
your-
done both, and I would love to actually split test that to see what better responser is. I've never done it.
I've done both.
Have you?
I've done both, yeah.
Yeah, we have, but I'm saying as a large group, I would love to split test that to see how that works. I think either way is fine. You actually, in some regards, risk them picking ones that you don't want to show them if you just set them up on your own and say, guess what, I got these for you. The risk factor is they may not have time to go look at them. Okay, so you've got to kind of weigh that and judge it by the situation. But I will say this, it's an excellent segue to what Eric's objection is. His objection is this thing may be overpriced. Well, no problem, we're going to look at it, but to maximize your time, what I'm going to do, and for comparison's sake, so we can kind of see, gauge on the other ones in the neighborhood, where does this fit value-wise?
I know you don't always have a lag time, but there is a lag time, so I set them up.
Yep.
Because then you're for sure you have the confirmation.
Yeah.
And you can easily cancel them if they
Easily.
don't wanna go.
Because it's
Versus if
easier
you
to
make it
yes.
at the appointment, then you have to wait, say they don't get back to you for half an hour, then you're waiting.
Yep,
So-
but the difference is in messaging is either I'm going to set some stuff up for you, or you already set it up and just tell them at the showing and set up. You still got to set it up right away because there is lag time, you know. But the reality is, guys, that what you're really trying to do is you're trying to get them into the house, even if it's overpriced, show some value by bringing them to other stuff, which likely is not overpriced. This one likely is. And that way we move off this property as fast as we can and onto the right ones. That's what we're trying to do.
So
On the approach where you don't tell them, I just showed up and say, I have some extra book, they didn't know what's happening. I've had my tablet with me and said, hey, do you know what? On the way here, we're setting things up. I want to make sure you have something comparison to. I actually have access to these 4 that we can go look at. We pop them open, look at the pictures, say, which ones you want to go see? Yeah, I like that one can skip and go, and I went to the 2 that they had.
And then you cancel the other ones.
Cancel.
It is so much easier to cancel an appointment than try to book one on the fly.
And they've never been offended by it, they just say, no, we don't need to go.
Correct. Yep. But again, you're showing I'm thinking of things that you're not, and I'm looking out for you in ways that you didn't even know I should. That's what you're trying to tell them.
What
All
were you
right.
gonna say, Eric?
Oh, there's that occasion when you ask them, or not ask, but tell them you're gonna set up and they say, I don't have time.
Right. That's why, like I said, you risk the I don't have time if you tell them in advance, or if you don't tell them in advance, what you could risk too is I'm saying, again, either I don't have time or these are not the ones I want to see. You've got kind of risks on both ends. That's why I'd like to split test it.
But the bigger thing is at least you get out there to meet them.
Yeah.
At least the one
Yep.
house, right?
And you're also enticing them to other properties because at a very minimum, even if they can't see them, like, ooh, hey, you know what? I kind of like this one. Well, no problem. What works for tomorrow? I'll reschedule it for then. Or they're going, I wonder why I didn't see this one. Well, you didn't see it because you literally, did this X, Y, or Z wrong in your search. But we can set you up on a search that you're going to start getting these in real time from me directly. So either way, as long as you have their interest and their attention, you can plan the next step. You always, when it comes to conversion, always comes to the next appointment. It's like dating, you meet somebody, you see them one time, if you don't call them back, you're not getting another date. You've got to continue to keep on setting those dates in advance.
The end of a showing tour should end in one of two scenarios. You're writing an offer or you're booking your next showing tour.
Every time.
Every time.
Yep.
The only two options once you're out there meeting.
And by the way, hint, hint, if you want to not have a reactive real estate career where buyers are telling you when you're looking at properties, tell them when you're going to look at properties. Hey, tell you what, this did not work out so well. I got time tomorrow at 3 or the next day at 4:30. Which time works for you? We'll get some other stuff set up. But we don't have properties to look at yet. We haven't decided. No problem. I'm just going to book the time. Then we'll find the properties to fill it. That way they're not calling you, with an hour notice saying, I want to go look at a house in an hour. Okay?
Okay. So every showing tour ends with booking next showing tour or you're writing an offer.
One of the questions came up was taking somebody in your car,
Okay?
and the buyer wanted to get in my car, wanted me to pick him up, and I said, no.
Well, Dan in his van with no windows, he keeps on trying to get people to ride in his car.
That's Dan, but whatever,
But,
Isn't there something about, didn't we read, that you shouldn't do that, or?
well, there is liability risk, and that's another reason why I think it's really, really good practice that you guys all have your own general liability insurance, because somebody trips over your tire and stubs their toe, you could end up having a problem. So it's a good idea to have insurance if you're going to do it. Yeah.
At what point in the process are you doing the broker disclosure, agency relationships?
Right. So, very, very good question. So the agency relationships, literally, I have it as attachment to my email. When I literally email you, you get agency. The minute, before you even know who I am, you're getting agency. We have that conversation literally from the first point of contact. And I like to do it, especially, I don't know, let's take an open house, for example. This is where people should be doing it when they're not all the time. So when Dan's walking around the open, what I'm going to say to him is, as we're talking, building a little bit of rapport, and say, hey, you know what, tell you what, how many opens have you looked at today?
3?
3. So I take it you've seen this form.
No, I've never seen that form.
Okay, well, hey, I'm glad I brought it up. I'm going to say, I'm glad I brought this up. You need to know this. The state mandates that anybody working and licensed in real estate has to show you this form. The state wants you to know your options of what you should do or shouldn't do, or allow you to decide what you're comfortable with. If you haven't seen this, and the other people you've talked to have really not done what they're supposed to do. So I'm a firm believer in this. You've got options in real estate, how you want to be treated and handled, and how information comes to you. This is not a contract. However, I've got to show it to you, have you sign it, go ahead and sign right there, boom, thank you. But I don't want to sign it, no problem. That's no problem. I'm just going to write that your name is, and you refuse to sign. That way, at least I have some record that we discussed it. Okay? I've even asked this. I'm going to write, refuse to sign your name, so and here's the other kicker, guys. I've even pulled up the statute. See, on this form right here, the state says I have to do this. Here's the statute number. If you'd like to see it, here's the statute. I'm not roping you into a contract. I'm following the law, which the other 3 people you talked to did not. That's what I'm going to do. Right on your agency form, that statute 82 point whatever is listed right there. You can easily Google it. Time. Okay, yeah, we've got to stop. We've got to get to the next class.